Hello, everyone. Wayne here from Think Management. This channel is all about providing you with tips and techniques for personal and professional success. Today, I'd like to talk to you about managing adversity. We live in a world today that has been flipped upside down recently. Many people are working from home, many people have been laid off. Many people just have more stress in their lives now, with just for the mere fact of maybe your children are still at home or at home now and not at school, or you've been laid off, or you know someone that's sick, or you yourself have been sick. And just the simple concept of there's a lot more adversity that we're facing now as to opposed in just the last few weeks. Well, today I want to talk to you a little bit about managing that adversity and a few tips and techniques that you can use to maybe help you along the way. I'd like to share a story with you. There was this manager, his name was Bob, and he managed a group of around 50 people. And adversity hit his desk just as it does with many of us, and he was told to provide three names or up to three names of people that he would let go to trim the staff and trim the workforce. Well, this manager, Bob, he had been in the workforce for several years, and as a matter of fact, I think he had close to 40, 50 years of experience. And he was faced with the adversity of who to let go. Do I let go of the man that is just recently been married, has young children? Do I let go of the person that's maybe uh, been working 7 or 8 years into his career, or do I let go of the female that's been working for 20 years with but has a new baby at the house? Who do you let go? That's a very, very tough decision to make. Well, this manager, in dealing with that adversity, made this decision. He said, and I'm paraphrasing him now, but he said, relationships in life are oftentimes built on adverse circumstances. And when you learn how people react during these circumstances, is when you learn that your friendships are worth keeping. When he told me that in so many words, I really felt moved by it, but also felt that what a great life lesson to be learned here. So what happened, right? Well, long story short, when he provided the list of names for people to be let go, he put his own name first. Now, I sit back and it gives me chill bumps sitting here just relaying the story with you. But how great of leadership and how great of a character did he display by putting his own name first? And afterward, he told me, which he was let go, and in a different layoff, but he was actually let go. And when he was sharing the story with me, um, he said, I quickly learned that I did not want anybody to be impacted by it. And he said I weighed the positives and the negatives, and the best thing he could think of was that he would rather it be done to himself than anyone else. Just a moving story. Like I said, it gives me chill bumps thinking about it. So I would say that he managed adversity well. Let me tell you a separate story. Another manager, I'm going to use Bob as well. This just happens to protect the names of people involved. But Bob managed a young boy in his teenager years and who was about to go off to college. Well, working at a local hardware store, with 2 weeks to go before he's going off to college, new employees were hired that were, let's just say, a rough crowd. And anyway, they were picking on this boy that was about to go off to school and tried to express some dominance over him, whether it may be from feeling inferior to that person or a jealousy or whatever it may be. So Bob got wind that his employees that there was a disagreement after hours, and of course nothing happened, no punches or anything like that, just all verbal. And Bob called the teenager who was about to go off to college, and into his office one day, and he said, "Okay, I know what happened." He says, "I've reviewed it, looked at footages, different things like that. At this time, there were cameras and everything everywhere." And he says, "I tell you what." He says, "I can tell you're obviously bothered by this." And he says, "I'm going to transfer you to another facility for 2 weeks." And he says, "But what I want you to do is I want you to learn from the people that I put you with for those 2 weeks, and which just so happened to be, say, management personnel." And he says, "I want you to job shadow them for 2 weeks before you go off to school. And I want you to learn and understand that there are possibilities for a better future than what is going on right now." That adversity that that young teenager was faced with ended up being a valuable lesson learned as I'm sitting here right now with you. Um, that experience taught me management. That experience taught me that, hey, it's always worth just listening, and not engaging in altercations and things like that. But it's a lot of times better just to figure out the problem and reach a solution and handle that adversity well than it is to just overreact or let your emotions carry you into doing something that you possibly would regret later on. So now I ask you, are you managing this adversity well? You know, are you stressed out? Are you fearful? Are you worried about what could happen as to opposed to what's really happening? I heard a statistic one time in which the majority of things we think about that we are fearful of never happen at all. In fact, if you had to put a percentage to it, I would say that, probably of the many things that I think about that could happen, I'd say 90% of them never happen. I don't know about you, but sometimes I worry. Sometimes I'm fearful. Sometimes I think of, what could happen as to opposed to what really does happen. And I've had to learn over the years that focus my energy and my efforts on the positive aspects of what's going on, rather than focusing on the negative aspects of what could happen, is a very, very powerful learning experience. And in fact, it can change the way you look at life. It can change your whole demeanor and your attitude toward other people. So let me give you an example real quick. If you're down on life and you're really fearful of what's going to happen, if someone's knocking at your door and you're fearful of answering that door, or maybe it's a phone call, maybe it's an email, whatever it may be, but you're fearful of taking that next step to understanding what that possibility could be, and you never open the door, you never answer the email, you never answer the call, whatever it may be, what do you miss? What opportunity could you miss in your life because you're fearful of that adversity, you're fearful of that failure, you're fearful of what could happen as to opposed to maybe the opportunity that's knocking on your door. Wayne Gretzky, he summed it up real nice and he said, "You miss 100% of the shots that you never take." I've thought about that, and myself, I used to play sports in high school, um, and I learned quickly that you can play hard at the end of the day as a team, but unless you score more points than the other team, you're always going to come out on the losing end. And at the end of the day, there are winners and losers through this competition, and that you have to score to win the game. Um, so I ask you, are you feeling just uneasy? Are you feeling uncertain about what's going on? Is the adversity getting to you? How do you manage that adversity? So now, to say all that, I'll tell you this, some tips and tricks that I've learned over the years to handle adversity and to help manage adversity. Okay. Number one, narrow your focus. Too many times we're worried about all the things instead of focusing on something. So when you're feeling down, when you're feeling blue, when you feel like there's nowhere to turn and you're worried about this and you're worried about that, whatever it may be, narrow your focus. Figure out, hear and see where the problems are at. Focus on what's causing those problems, but narrow the focus down. Attack the problem, attack the adversity. So whether it may be getting right in your spiritual life. It may be praying more. It may be calling that loved one that you haven't talked to in a while. It may be sending a text to someone telling them, hey, I'm thinking about you. I love you. I'm sorry that we haven't connected in a while. And I really would like to just have a phone conversation with you. Or, it may be as simple as calling the former boss that you've had and say, you know what, I wasn't that good of an employee for you, and I'm really sorry for that, and I want to just apologize for my actions. Whatever it may be, you tackle the adversity head on. Number two, handle adversity, help you manage it, be consistent. Do what you do, but learn how to do it the best. Now, when I say that, it's very tricky because we do different things, right? Well, when I say be consistent, I mean, for instance, give you an example. Each and every day when I wake up, the first 15 minutes of my day oftentimes determine how my day is going to go. And you might ask, well, what is that? Well, you know, other than the cup of coffee that I love to start out with, a lot of times I'm thinking about and planning my day, whether it's going to the pool to swim, whether it's going and getting on the bicycle, whether it's, hey, I'm going to cut grass, I'm going to send these emails, I'm going to send this letter at the post office, I'm going to go to the grocery store, whatever it may be, those first 15 minutes of my day set the tone for my day. That's how I personally handle adversity in setting out, my plan for that day. Now, for you, it could be different, right? You could have during your lunch break, you might sit down and write out a to do list. I think one of the keys for daily success is having a to do list. Now, whether or not you have it on your phone or you have it in your mind or you write it down on a piece of paper, it's whatever your preference is. But I will say that you must be organized, you must be consistent, okay? Be consistent on how you manage your adversity and you will get used to that and it will also help you manage that adversity. And so the third point I'd like to say in managing your adversity is to stop everything you're doing and eliminate the distractions. Now, it may seem trivial to eliminate the distractions in your adversity, but what I have found and what I have learned from in my life is that when I'm stressed out, a lot of times I have the TV on, I have the computer screen playing, I have children in the background going crazy, whatever it may be, phones ringing, texting, and I have so many things going on around me that I cannot focus on one single thing. And otherwise, I can't complete one task before I begin four others. Now, this that goes back to narrowing my focus and being consistent every day. So I hope that these tactics or these strategies can help you manage your adversity. Please provide your feedback in the comments below. I look forward to interacting with you in the future. And please don't forget to like and subscribe to the video if you find this video to be worthwhile. Thank you very much, and you have a great day.